Thanks, Efren. My name is Barry Herring. I'm a visual artist. The show that I'm showing you today is called Passing Through Life, and it's a series of work that I've done that just examines our place as we move through life in general. There's two segments to it. On this section, there's a sense of swimmers moving through life, through water, if you will, as a metaphor for that. And on the other side, there's a bunch of what I call compositions, or a number of compositions that show aspects of that. The work was shot on digital camera, some of it was shot on film and printed on film, some of it was shot on film and digitized. So it's a bit of everything here, including a bunch of iPhone work too. So the first one I'd like to talk about are these swimmers. And this thing was to some extent thought about with the REM tune Night Swimming. And I was interested when I saw somebody swimming underwater of how their image changed as they moved through the water. And for me, I reflected back on how when we go through life, we're moving through a bubble of time like you're in water, and my senses, all of them are slightly dulled, so I don't see you quite clearly, or I don't see all the aspects of you, which would be the same as if you're standing on the side of a pool and watching a person pass through water. When you look down into the water, the person moving through, you don't see them clearly either because of the way the water moves around them and the fact that they're moving. And that's what these images were taken, the way they were taken. So each of them really tries to represent some aspect of that, of how we move through the water as though we're passing through our life. And really at the end of it all, after we pass through water, we leave nothing behind. We move things around, there's a bit of turbulence in the rest of that, but really there's no mark remaining. If there is a mark, it's very impermanent and it's very, very transitory. That's what these swimmer pictures largely represent. And many different aspects where the swimmer is hard to tell whether this is a man or a woman. I think by looking at the pictures, for me, these are definitely humans. These are hominoids of some sort or another. But that's part of the point here, is that do we really understand what each of us is like below the surface, and how do we sort of represent ourselves? That's one half of the series. The other images are composed like this in what I call compositions. The intent really is, as in the Japanese work, where maybe there's a triptych or something, where each individual piece should be able to stand on its own, but the nature of them is to try to look at it as a composition, and hopefully all the pictures together add up to a saying or a sum or something, a narrative, whatever you want to say. So each of these also has something to do with passing through life, as in waiting with these two, that we're waiting for something to happen, that we're waiting for things to pass through us, that we're waiting for the next step of our life. And the same thing, the water still performing a large metaphor of that. This one is Becoming. This was shot on film. And it really has to do with, at some point in our life, we're all going to pass on. And I am going to become water in water. I'm already 70% water, and the world is 70% water. The day when I move on, most of me will become water. So that's what this is about. This has to do with becoming water in water. And it's also around rebirthing and recycling and that sort of thing. And the last one I'd like you to show you, Efren, is this one here. This is Exhaling. Most of these images were shot in BC, but these I shot in Australia of a dune area. And it really has something to do for me as I saw it. I was there on a very hot, very windy day, and you could see the earth moving, and it was almost as though the earth was exhaling, was breathing out. And with it, suddenly everything was gone. Things were changed, but when you looked at it first, it looked the same. And the same way at the beginning, perhaps there might be things that humans have left behind. At the end of it all, there really is no marks left. I mean, and the marks that we leave keep changing, keep disappearing. So really that's what my work is about. I see myself as much of a lens-based artist as I do a photographer. I start with a lens, and I aim my lens at something, and then the image that I capture there sometimes, as I said, I capture it on film and I print it in a darkroom in a traditional way. Sometimes at the other extremity, I'm capturing it on my iPhone and manipulating it and printing it this way. All of the images here I printed myself, except for the very big ones. Thank you very much for asking about my work.